making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
Okay, that was the scene last night at I don't know what that farce was, the presidential debate. That's a Trump campaign ad. Oh my God, the looks on Trump's face are priceless, as my dad used to say. He's like, what the hell? You can tell what's going through his head. What the fuck is he saying? It is classic. Well, it was a complete meltdown last night for the fake President Joe Biden on worldwide television. There is a sort of universal pushback on, wow, this guy is a disaster, as if we didn't know that. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a Toxically Masculine Tuesday special edition with Dr. Brooks Agnew somewhere in the Carolinas, TV's Blake Wally somewhere east of California. I'm your host, Mike Barra, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Guys, after last night, I thought we should come on and discuss this. And I think we're going to discuss it. We get into some foo-foo, woo-woo stuff. At least I do on my daily show or my daytime show with Jen. We're going to kind of stay away from that. We're going to kind of treat this as if, we know what's going on. People come here for the real news. We have to analyze the real news. We have to take a look at what happened last night. Before we get into the details of it and what we think is going to happen, I just kind of wanted to get everybody's distinct impression. Obviously, I thought Trump slaughtered him. And really the funniest thing, of course, leave it to the Babylon Bee to come out with the absolutely classic way to portray this. Trump indicted for murdering elderly man on CNN. If this was a boxing match or as a presidential debate, Jesus, guys, it was a fucking massacre, wasn't it, Brooks?
I thought the home run of the night was when Trump said you couldn't drive the ball 50 yards.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it right there. It was over.
The golf reference from the golfer. Blake, TV's Blake Wally. Give me, I don't know if you watched it last night.
Yeah.
I you did. What was your general impressions?
Yeah, you said it's an absolute massacre, and it was a meltdown. And you watched, the DNC there, all the Democrats, they were so confident going into this, and then you saw the contrast at the end of it. They were like, okay, we gotta replace him. There's a panic. The hyperbole, there's headlines all over on the who's who, CNN, MSNBC, Politico. They all see it. New York Times. I think I had an article from Matt Taibbi showing all the different headlines. They're freaking out. So it went as bad as I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, and we kind of called this on Tuesday. We all thought Biden was going to do really poorly. He did worse than I expected, and I thought they might pump him up with drugs and try to keep this thing maintained. But we're going to get into the nefariousness of this in the third part of the show. Right now, I think we just want to talk about what actually happened. I do want to ask you guys, I take what happened last night. I don't take it at face value in the sense that I don't even know if that's Joe Biden on stage. I am a firm believer that this does not appear to be the same guy who was vice president. You look at 2018, 2019 versus Joe Biden today, does not appear to be the same person. He looks incredibly like Struan Roger, who is a British actor fully capable of pulling off a performance like that. And I made a big joke, I hereby nominate Struan Roger for an Academy Award for his performance last night as fake Joe Biden. But I think I want to put that context aside. So I want to discuss it in terms of conventional politics, and then discuss it in terms of the real politics of this thing. So I think, for the sake of argument, let's assume that was Joe Biden, or at least the guy that they're peddling around as Joe Biden, as the president, on stage last night, and that was the best he could do. I asked Jen about it last night, and Jen said staged. Now, staged has multiple levels of meaning. Staged could mean the good guy, he's under control of Trump and the good guys, like some people think, and he did it deliberately. Staged could be the Democrats deliberately undermined him to get that performance out of him, in order to replace him on the ticket. Staged could mean there's something even going on entirely than either one of those things. But let's take a look at some of the stuff that happened last night. There were some classic moments. He came wandering out, doddering old man, mumbling to himself as he walked up to the microphone. I don't really have that. But then he came on, and within just a few minutes, 12, 13 minutes, he had his first major. You remember what they used to call? They used to call Bill Clinton's lady problems bimbo eruptions. We got to come up with a new term for what happens with Joe Biden when these things go down. But let's slide on over and watch this particular highlight, because this has got to be my favorite.
On the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border.
I don't think he knows what he said either. I agree with that. Brooks, let's go to you first.
Wow.
Do you think that guy's doing the best he can? He's just like an old man who's drugged, or do you think it's an act? I don't think it's an act. It doesn't seem like an act. This guy's a great actor if he is.
I think he's pulling every string he can in his mind. But, it's not that Joe Biden was a big surprise. Certainly Trump was not a big surprise. The big surprise for everybody, including me, was CNN. Holy crap. They actually asked good questions.
Yeah, they generally did. And Blake, I want to go to you too, because not you to the concert, but you. I guess, I mean, do you get the feeling? Because I get the feeling they either sent him out there with the wrong drugs, or no drugs, or too many drugs. His eyes were dramatically dilated, and then after the break, it seemed like they were pinholes. So did they shoot him up with something in the break in between? I don't know. Let's just start with the beginning. Do you think that was a genuine performance from Joe Biden last night, and just any other thoughts you have about it?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to go with that it was the legitimate one. He had a whole week to prepare at Camp David, and that was the best they could do. It could have been a cocktail of drugs, trying to find the right balance. He's deteriorating badly, and a lot more quickly than people are catching on, including him. So and Trump, put that zinger on him. He's just sitting there like slack-jawed. He still it's not really processing what just happened. So he faded in so much, just even in the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we got a lot of this look last night. And let me go to a full screen thing on this. I mean, if you look at this, his eyes are his pupils are pinholes. And that's a sure sign of being under some sort of drug. And so maybe they attempted to like pump him up, but it just didn't work. I really don't know. Any thoughts from either one of you guys on that? I mean, that you got a lot of that stare last night.
I think that was the most devastating thing about the entire debate was the nonverbal part. That split screen was absolutely devastating to Biden.
Yeah, let me see if I can find a split screen shot here, because when Trump was talking, Joe Biden's brain broke again. Let's
If we find COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with
Trump. Look at him.
if we finally beat Medicare,
Thank you, President.
COVID, with
Finally beat Medicare.
dealing with everything we have to do with
that look from Trump. Have you seen the video of when the guy falls asleep in the church ceremony or something, and then it pans over to Trump and he's just staring at this guy, this government official? That's the look that we got. It was quite incredible. Yeah, let me see if because there were other moments where Trump. Okay, where do I have this? This is
where Trump was talking and Biden wasn't saying anything. He was just looking.
Well, he was staring off into space, and then there's another one where he appears to be listening. Appears to be listening to something, like he's listening off stage to an earpiece or something. Yeah,
he touches his ear.
Because I offered her 10,000, so it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down. It's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor
and then I know I had some in here, Brooks. Pardon me for being a little bit unprepared.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, he had this open mouth kind of, did I just shit my pants?
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah, and he was looking off to the side and listening to things. It looked like listening or getting information in his ear. It was really odd. And, well, it was odd if you consider this a legitimate conventional debate. So,
Here we
all right, then after the show was over, there's video that's now leaked of him being helped off stage.
From our political professionals, from our CNN Flash Poll and Swing State Focus Group. We'll be talking to surrogates, including Vice President Harris, getting fact checks from our Daniel Dale, and new reporting from Inside Net. The first word on what those voters might make of it from our political professionals, from our CNN Flash Poll and Swing State.
So, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's go back to the CNN flash poll, and I actually don't have it, but it was 67 to 33 that thought Donald Trump won the debate, and that obviously 67% is huge, and that's probably going to be about the margin of the polls here coming up. So now let's move on to what do you think the implications of this are from a conventional political standpoint? There's meltdown talk. Oh, actually, let's do this. Let's talk about the media, because you brought it up, Brooks. Let's talk about the media, Blake. The media has always covered for Joe Biden. They covered this up in 2020. It didn't matter. We all know Trump won 2020 by a massive landslide. But they covered up for him before. Last night, they didn't cover up for him. They set it up. You know, they put him out there. He epically failed. But they didn't cover for him. They admitted he was fumbling, he was stumbling, he's got lost. He was, looking, or he was doing this while Trump was talking. He wasn't even listening. And they didn't cover him for him. Even Fox, who hates Trump, was talking about, where was Joe? What happened? So, Blake, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that the media is no longer covering him? Because the theory is out there that the Democrats let him crash and burn last night because they want him off the ticket, and the media didn't do anything to stop it because they're trying to help the Democrats. Does that scenario make sense to you?
I don't want to give them that much credit, but I think they do. They have a plan B in mind in case that did happen. And I think you're right that they should set these debates up, this first one here in June, to give them some room in case he did melt down. So, yeah, they look terrible. I mean, it was great, seeing like Joe Scarborough, praising Joe Biden. He's the best he's ever looked. But then, fantasy met reality last night. I mean, if Biden could have stood on his own and actually performed average, well, they would continue to prop him up. But I think as soon as they saw that they can't, that there's no way to put lipstick on the pig or whatever. After the disaster last night, they realize it's time to bail and they can't prop him up anymore. So now they're preparing for somebody else to take his place.
So you're willing to buy into the scenario that they put him out there to see what happens, and now they're like, now we got to get rid of him, rather than pulling a rug out from under him in the first place before he even went up there.
That's a tricky one to pull off. It could have been. I mean, I'm open to that idea. I think maybe some people could have. It's possible, very possible.
You're the least conspiratorial of the three.
Right.
Of us. Actually, the four of us. Steve couldn't be here today. He's working. He's on a job. Kimberly Reck, by the way, great to see you, Kim. I have a friend who's got a kitty who's just a little kitten, FIV diagnosis. I'm going to try to put you in touch with Zester so you can tell him all about what you did for your kitty who had feline HIV or FIV. All right, so let's just let you know, Kim. All right, Brooks, which scenario do you favor? Do you think the Democrats just tried to pump him up as best they could, put him out there, gave him a teleprompter, gave him an earpiece like they did in 2020, threw him out there, hoped that he could pull it off, and now they're scrambling to replace him? Or do you think that they undermined him from the beginning and CNN and the media was in on it? What do you think?
Well, I think Blake nailed it. I think that having the debate in June, this early, like way before Labor Day when the election actually starts, was kind of a job interview. It was kind of a job interview, and they were putting him out to the people to say, see, we're trying to tell you now he cannot do the job, and so you're going to back up anything we do to try to replace him and save the party. Couple that with the fact that CNN asked actually incredibly good questions, and when Joe Biden would finish speaking, they would come back and say, Joe, you still have 38 seconds. And it was like, what? And he couldn't think of anything else. So what this was exposure day. This, and when you couple this with the fact that, and we've been trying to bring this to your attention, audience, for a long time, that Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer have both been meeting in the White House when Kamala Harris is gone. When she leaves, they come. And this is not by mistake. They are grooming these two to come in and become the new not Trump ticket.
Right. I think that that's absolutely true. But I mean, again, we talked about this on Tuesday. If you didn't watch the show on Tuesday night, Toxically Masculine Tuesday, you should have, because we told you there is no reason to have this debate right now. It can only hurt Joe Biden. It cannot help him. So why did they agree to it? And then we talked about, look, the entire table was set for Biden. They basically did everything to restrict Trump from doing what he does best, which is when somebody else is talking, going, oh, that's bullshit. I mean, he kind of did it a little bit last night, but they had all these rules set up and there was no live audience there. So when Trump hit him with a zinger, like, I don't know what you just said. I don't think he knows what he just said. If there had been an audience, that would have exploded, right? So they took it away, and he still epically destroyed Joe Biden last night. So I'm disagreeing with you two guys. I think this was set up from the beginning. I think that the Democrats want to get Joe Biden out of there by any means necessary, because this can't go on, and they know he's going to get crushed in the general. And that is interesting. I think that you have the Newsom-Whitmer ticket. I think then you could try to make a big deal out of abortion. But here's the thing on the issues. Biden brought up all the issues. You're a felon. That doesn't fly. The vast majority of voters know that it's bullshit prosecution. You had lost the most jobs of any president and all that. Well, everything got shut down during COVID. Everybody knows that. So that's not easy. That's not going to fly. We're fixing the border. That's not going to fly. Nobody died in the military during my presidency. It's like, how about the 13 people in Afghanistan? I mean, it's insane, right? So it's complete nonsense. And then, of course, there's just still the few absolute nutbag progressives who are still Trump lied the whole night. I can't think of a single thing Trump lied about last night. They tried to bring up Charlottesville again. That falls flat because everybody now knows that's bullshit. Anybody who wants to investigate any independent thinkers that's going to look into the charges Biden made. They're all bullshit. They're all old arguments. They've all been refuted. And I don't think, in terms of substance, he laid a glove on him. And I thought Trump was very effective. Now, I personally felt like Trump could be a lot more effective. I was surprised when Biden said to him, like, you're a bad person and all this stuff, kind of a thing like that. And, or God, what would happen when you get in charge? Our democracy will be destroyed. Had I been Trump, I would have said something along the lines of, you sent your FBI goons, by the way, all of which are going to be unemployed 15 minutes after 12 p.m. on January 20th, 2025, to raid my house for doing what every president before me has done, which is take his personal papers, and they raided the first lady's panty drawer. I mean, I was sitting there thinking I could think of better lines on the fly than Trump. I don't think Trump was all that effective, but he didn't have to be, because Biden was such a fucking disaster. Sorry, I went on a monologue there.
Well, no, that's okay. I think Trump kind of practiced a little Sun Tzu, which is when your enemy is in the process of destroying himself, don't stop him.
Yeah. And then Blake, I also thought when they got into the golf thing, he said, I'm a 6 handicap, and Trump laughed. He's like, and they got into how tall he was and how much he weighed. I feel better than I felt 20 years ago. I'm kicking ass at golf. And he goes, you can't even hit the, what did he say? You can't, I've seen you
drive the ball 50 yards.
Drive the ball 50 yards. And then he said, let's be grown-ups here, or something like that. Yeah. So Trump won at every turn. So on a points basis or on a substance basis, Trump won on that too, didn't he, Blake?
Oh, absolutely. It was pretty much, the entire debate, beginning to end, on every single issue, including abortion, January 6th, they were pointing out. It was a clean sweep. Not that I thought Trump did that great. Yeah, it could have been better, and he did have some good singers in there. It was just Biden was just no energy and just stumbled through the night and stuttering and was a mess and was lost. And we clearly saw that he is not mentally capable of being the commander in chief. And then people are just wondering, like, how is this guy possibly going to go through another term? So it's over.
Biden outright lied about the Border Patrol union. And they immediately issued a statement saying, we do not back Joe Biden and we never will, or something along those lines.
Yep.
So, okay. So,
and the police.
All right. And the police. Yeah. So here's the thing, gentlemen. We have established that Joe Biden is unfit to be a candidate for president of the United States. But now this is, again, why I think this is a setup, why I think this was planned, why I think all the networks are in on it. Everybody said, oh, Joe Biden can't go on. He can't go on as the candidate. They have to replace him, which is the Democrats' actually ideal scenario. This is what they want because, like you said, Blake, they think this is their only hope to win in November, is to bring in completely new candidates and completely replace the ticket. That's the only chance they have to win in November. And I think the media was helping them, and I'll tell you why. Because Joe Biden showed not only that he is unfit to be a presidential candidate in 2024, he showed he's unfit to be president for even one more day. They said, well, he can't be, he can't, he cannot be president 4 months from now. We can't have 4 more years of Joe Biden. We can't have 4 more months of Joe Biden. We can't have 4 more days of Joe Biden. This guy is so mentally unfit that we can't have 4 more minutes of this guy. He needs to be removed from office, not from the ticket, from office right now. And not one single fuckface on network television said anything like that. A few people on Twitter are, but not the people whose lives and whose livelihoods are dependent on convincing you that the elections are real, which is what the media is trying to do. So I think that means that this was all planned. It was coordinated, because where is the political big names that are in the mainstream coming out and saying this guy has to be pulled out of office now? We can't have that guy That mental midget, that old man with his hand on the nuclear button. Not one person said that. Brooks, am I just barking up?
Oh, you're dead right. And what really sent the chill is when Biden, it was toward the end of the debate, and he said something like, "If Putin does this or does that, and I'll show you a war." It's like,
yeah,
what the hell did he just say?
Yep. And they got to the end with talking about World War III. Blake, I want to go back to my point with you. Get your input on it. Don't you think that the fact that nobody called for him to be removed from office immediately after that performance because he's mentally incompetent, don't you think that shows that this was a plan and a setup? Doesn't it sort of bolster my cause, or maybe not?
No, I think it absolutely could be. I think behind the scenes, they all know that. None of them have the balls to go out on TV. And they know their career is going to be over as soon as it happens. So they're very careful to toe the line. But yeah, privately behind this, I'm sure they absolutely are preparing and want somebody else in there.
But why didn't one of the Republicans come out and say it? Even the Republicans we think have balls. Literally, I'm the only person saying it. I mean, on Twitter, I was pretty much the only person saying it. So
there is only one Republican with balls, and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. And maybe she did say it. I forget. I'll look her up while you guys are. But Blake, you're my barometer. Yeah. If I can convince you that my conspiracy theory scenario is true, then I know it's damn near. It's probably true. Let me look up Marjorie Taylor Greene real quick and see what she said, because I think she said something like that. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, official ruling from the Supreme Court. Okay, media.
Gutfeld might be the only one that actually said something.
Gutfeld said something, but nobody who's in politics.
Not in the serious people, no. Keep the charade going that this is a legitimate presidency when we all know that somebody must be pulling strings from behind the scenes.
The thing is that it's one thing for a media figure to say. Even the media figures were not saying he's got to be removed from office right now because he's mentally incompetent. Let me see if Gutfeld said that.
By the way, he did kind of spill the beans when Trump said something about all the money that's sent to Ukraine. Biden said, yeah, but all that money comes back to us, in the form of weapons purchases.
Yeah.
All money laundering.
Okay, I don't really see anything from Gutfeld. I'm sure it's probably in there. I'll probably find it after the show's over. But the point being that if a senator, Marco Rubio, let's see if you got any balls, gay little Marco. No. Ron DeSantis, do you have any balls, Ron? No. And so what needed to happen is that a Republican political figure that's well known needed to come out and say, it's not enough for this. It's not enough to remove him from the ticket. This guy has to be removed from the Oval Office right now, today, because he's got his finger on the nuclear button, and he talked about starting World War III last night. That's right. And nobody said that. So that's why I think this whole thing is a setup. Now, World War III, that's kind of the scenario Jen saw him being removed over. Now the question is, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? And I know, Brooks, you've been saying Newsom is the replacement all along. Is this just a chess move? I mean, to me, it's like, queen takes rook, check. That's where we are right now. We're not in checkmate yet because there's still other things to happen. So what do you think happens next? Do we go to the convention?
I mean, this is not the Queen's Gambit. This is a bad game. The convention is coming up in Chicago, if they have the convention. And the way that the Democrat Party is set up, they use a system called superdelegates. Superdelegates are former campaign chairs, former senators, former majority leaders. They're senior people in the Democrat Party that know what's good for the party. The people do not nominate their candidate. It's the superdelegates that do that. That's who does it. They're bailing right now. So now we're getting ready to go into a convention where the superdelegates are not committed. It's going to be 1940 all over again. We don't know who the candidate's going to be.
Yeah,
That's
there's
the
going to
issue.
be some rival factions, I think, that are going to be battling.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, I think Mike froze. All right.
Okay, well that might be whatever, because that's what's going to happen. And you remember FDR was not even on the ticket in 1940. It was John Nance Garner who was running. John Nance Garner could not get to 50%. He only had like 46 or 47% of the votes, so it went to a brokered convention. And it was at that convention that FDR pulled the dirty trick and won 86% of the nominees or of the delegates, even though he wasn't on the ticket.
Oh, wow.
That's the way the Democrat Party works.
Yeah, this is going to be explosive, and there's going to be different rivals behind the scenes on this one, because you got the Biden, with the Obamas and Michelle or what have you.
Yet in the news last night, and we didn't see it during the debate because they wouldn't switch to it. Outside, there were pro-Hamas or pro-Hamas demonstrators. They were trying to get into the debate to stop it. That's what they want to do to the convention as well. And they've made such credible threats. They're thinking about not even having the convention in Chicago or having it at all. They're going to do it remote.
Yeah, it was a bad idea just to have it in Chicago in the first place. It sounds good in theory, and that is a massive Democratic base, but it's going to be a lot more explosive. Instead of like a coronation with Biden, now it's going to be the Obama-Biden side, the DC side versus the Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer side. That's going to want to have their own people and their own agenda. So that's
Valerie Jarrett's power base is in Chicago. She's the one that actually groomed Obama and got him ready, got him financed, got him profiled, got all his speeches written, and got him into the presidency. That power base is in Chicago. They want to have this convention in Chicago, but I don't think they're going to pull it off.
Yeah, not anymore. It's got a lot more interesting.
Am I back now?
Yes, you're back.
Fuck Cox Cable. I'm glad you guys went on without me. I didn't hear a thing you said, Brooks, but I'm going to assume I know what it is. And so, Blake, I mean, what do you see happening next? Do you think that we go all the way to November with this? I mean, go ahead. You just tell me what you think is going to happen next.
I think contentious convention and rivals within the Democratic Party. You're going to see a split from this, the Biden-Obama Kamala side versus the, Whitmer Newsom side, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be cutthroat. It could be very interesting. And it's scrambling. So I've heard like theories. Newsom seems like the obvious front runner, but they might not want like another white man. And so what are they going to do? They don't have a lot of talent. I mean, they would love it if Michelle Obama embraced it, but I don't think she wants it. So they got a big crisis on their hands of who they're going to replace him with. But at least it's in June. Because if this was in October for the first debate, it'd be over. They'd be ruined. I don't know what.
Maybe that's why they had to have it in June. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking for something asymmetric. I'm looking for something off scale high in terms of weird and never happened before. I'm increasingly pessimistic that we're going to get that. I think it's possible Biden is replaced as the candidate before the convention, but I agree with you. I think there's a lot of showmanship value in having a contentious convention, going to the convention, going through all that nominating nonsense, and then the Democrats rally behind Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer so they can save Michigan. And Whitmer, of course, is despised in Michigan and only won re-election because of massive voter fraud. So, and then we go to November, and so I hear all this stuff about Biden, Biden's going to be removed. Trump is going to take over. At this point, as the political landscape unfolds before me, I don't see that happening. If the power exists to do that kind of thing, and if the will exists to do that kind of thing, I just don't see. I don't see that the will exists. I don't see that the people that would have to do that have the balls to do it at all.
Well, as I was saying, while you were in La La Land out there in Cox Land, the Democrat Party is their nomination process is run by a group called the superdelegates.
Yeah.
And it's not people. It's not people on the floor that do that voting. It's the superdelegates. They're the ones who control the party. If they lose faith in Biden and they back off, they will pick another candidate, just like they did with Obama when Hillary had the superdelegates bought and paid for.
Yeah. And so I mean, I'd like to say that something really weird and asymmetric is going to happen, but I don't think it is, other than Biden not being renominated, which, we continue to have to deal with this pretend political process that isn't real and that's completely undermined by the massive fraud. And honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't see at this point, if the election were tomorrow, Trump would win in a massive landslide, except there'd be so much fraud that he probably wouldn't win. So I think this is their Democrats' plan to steal 2024, the same way they sold 2020. Well, maybe not the same way, but with a substitute fraud candidate. Anyway,
the way they stole Congress back in 2018 and took the legs up from underneath the Trump presidency.
Yep. And so, again, I hate to say it, I wish there was more unconventional stuff coming, but I just don't see it right now. Right now, I see us heading to November. No Nassara, no Jassara, no military intervention, just the same old bullshit. And, watching them try to steal 2016, stealing 2018, stealing 2020, and stealing 2022, I don't see that the mechanics are in place to prevent it from in 2024. So I don't know where we're headed. And if we don't get these people removed, not necessarily just from the political scene, but maybe from planet Earth, I don't see how the United States goes forward as a nation.
Well, the good news is there is great leadership in place. Laura Trump is preempting a lot of this stuff. Instead of, acting like an election denier after the election, she's taking decisive action in states ahead of the election to stop what we already know is going to try to happen.
Okay, let's go with predictions. Let's get the predictions banner up. And where is it? There it is. My prediction is that Joe Biden will not be removed from office, although he should be. My prediction is that he will probably be removed. He will be removed from the ticket at the Democratic Convention in July. Blake, what's your prediction on what's going to happen? I mean, we already discussed this, but just give it to me in 2 sentences.
They'll let him finish out his term. They're going to have the convention. They're going to get somebody that they think that can reinvigorate the Democratic base and get people excited to go out and vote. And they can't win with Biden.
I agree with that. Brooks, what do you think?
I don't think they're going to go after Biden right away. I think they're going to go after Kamala Harris. They're going to get her to take the bribe, and they're going to get her out of her chair first.
That is critical, and I think you're right, because she can't possibly be the vice president and take over that. Yeah, or if she does, it'll be for 2 or 3 days, and then she'll resign, and then he makes Gavin Newsom vice president, and then Newsom becomes the candidate. That makes a lot of sense. That's your scenario. I agree with that.
Forward.
I was going to say one other thing. I thought Trump absolutely slaughtered him on the abortion. Last night. I don't think there's any leverage for the Democrats there. I think this thing has been law of the land now for 2 years, and nobody seems all that bothered by it, except the same radical feminazis who were always going to vote for the Democrats anyway, right? You guys disagree with me about that?
The only one really squealing is Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were shrieking like it was meant like there was going to be a nationwide abortion ban or something, but that wasn't it. It was just like, we're going to go to the states.
And Biden tried to say that last night, and Trump basically laughed in his face. And, again, I think, they're trying to say, oh, Donald Trump lied. He said that, Democrats want to murder babies, abort babies after they're born. Well, there's clips out there of Governor Youngkin, I think it was Youngkin who he was talking about. Was it? No, it's the governor Virginia, I forget his name.
North, I think.
Northam. Yeah, Northam. Said, even after the baby's born, we could still kill it. So that is their position. So I think they're not bothering to really fight that issue with political ads because they don't need to, because I don't think it's got any leverage. So that's one thing I wanted to discuss that we didn't get to. Am I off base? All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Thank you for being here, taking some extra time out on your Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. Do not forget to visit our wonderful sponsors, the CBDgurus.com. Also, Mike Barrett Pets. .com, where you can pick up all kinds of cool mushroom-based products for you, your dog, your cat, your horsey, anybody that you love and care about and want to be healthy. So we'll be back on Tuesday night. I'm planning on taking the weekend off unless, well, not off because I never have a day off, but not doing any shows unless we have a financial collapse or Joe Biden actually gets taken out of the White House. So I suggest to everybody that gets a hold of this video that what you can do is you need to start on all of your other social media platforms, all of them that you're on, is start saying to people, how can this guy stay in office? Not just get him off the ticket. If he's not fit to be on the ticket, he's not fit to have his finger on the nuclear button. Let's see if we can get a little momentum on that. Remove Biden now, or we'll get a hashtag going or something. Let's try to do that, because I do think the key thing last night is that nobody said he needs to be removed right now. Mm-hmm. And any rational person should have said that, and they didn't. All right, that's going to do it. Nobody has any comments. Thank you for being here. We love you all. We'll see you again on Tuesday. I'll see you back on Monday morning with Jen. We'll ask Jen what she thinks about all this.